10 changes that I made that have massively improved my camping experience. Buying a trail running backpack. As you've all seen before, I've got an ETA. It's a Chinese brand. I bought this because I'd watched a video by somebody else and they'd bought one and they were saying how much it helps your back and how much it's nice to be able to carry something that's frameless and lighter and it still give you the support. This bag that I've got is a 30 litre and I can fit my entire summer gear in it. It's a roll top bag and it is absolutely phenomenal. This is my go-to bag for most occasions. I do have a lightweight framed one that I use for the winter, but if I can ever get my winter gear in this one, this is the bag that I take with me as well. It's just absolutely a game changer for me. The big features on it for me are these double straps at the front, and it also has a waistband, but I don't particularly use that. It also has the straps on it here, come more inwards, so it sits more on your chest, and I find it balances the weight better on your body than you get with a normal backpack. It just fits really well, and for me, this has been an absolute game changer. One of the best things I bought. The pack that I originally looked at, which was the one that I'd seen on YouTube, was about £350, and I didn't want to invest that much money. So for me, this has been one of the best things I bought, and it has been an utter game changer. And it is the backpack I'll be using this season. I also like for it the amount of storage you have on the front. You've got 2 water bottle slots, although this one I use to carry my mics in it. You also have other pouches down below and some more at the top, which means that you can carry all the gear that you need immediately on your front. So things like any hydration stuff, like with your water bottles, as well as any gels, any snacks and things like that. If you do any filming, whether it's filming for YouTube or whether it's just taking photos, it also gives you numerous places where you can keep a lot of your camera gear. That's what I got it for, and that's what I use it for. I absolutely love the fact that I can hang via the trekking pole slot my camera in its tripod from there, as well as having my mics, my lights and everything that I need all on my front. It just makes things a lot easier for me and means I enjoy the hikes a lot more while I'm filming, as I don't have to keep getting all my gear in and out of the back of my bag and taking it on and off. It just streamlines the situation for me, and like I said, one of the best purchases I've ever bought. Next is a bit of a controversial one, and it's something once again I've brought to the channel before, and it's one of them products you either love or hate, but I like to be a bit of a realist with it and look at the pros and cons, and this is Barefoot shoes. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with my Barefoot shoes. I have some that I love and some that I hate, as well as the ones that I do love have bits that I do like and bits that I don't. I tend to steer away from the hype with them and not believe a lot of the hype of what people say. I don't think they are this big groundbreaking product that a lot of people claim they are. I do, however, have to admit that I have noticed differences. So for example, as somebody who I do talk a lot about my weight, but I am large and I've got a lot of weight that I have to carry down hills, and that you feel on your knees. Since switching to Barefoot, that's minimised. The other benefits I've noticed is I've got a lot stronger calves now. First few months of using them, it's quite difficult. I experienced a lot of calf pain, but when I Googled it and I did my research, that's because the muscles in your calves are changing. So for those who don't know, your traditional boots and your traditional footwear have like a wedge on the inside, and that means you're always walking on a bit of an angle. I don't know what the exact angle is, but from what I gather, it's about 5 to 9 degrees. This results in essentially you're walking like you've got high heels, and it extends out your calf muscle. So by going to Barefoot, which is 0 drop, it straightens that out, but it means that your leg has got to adjust to that. And after, I think it was 2 years ago I switched now, so after 38 years of walking on wedge shoes, it took a bit of getting used to. I have since bought traditional style walking boots, and I find I still tend to put on the Barefoot ones. They are just, the main benefit I get from them is the comfort. Having that big wide toe box, and one thing I have noticed is my toes originally was together like this, and now they're slightly spaced because my feet have adjusted to how they naturally should be, and that has made for stronger feet. But it also means that a lot of normal conventional boots now aren't quite as comfortable as they were because my feet haven't got the room that they want. I've also gone up half a shoe size since using them because of how my feet and my toes have extended. Which isn't any drama. I'm due to replace my boots anyway this season, so I'll just buy a slightly bigger pair. But the comfort of them just can't be beat. Additional to this, the feeling of being able to feel the floor underneath you, and it's not to the point of like where you're standing on Lego and it's hurting, but just the ability to feel when you're standing on a stick or you're going over a rock just makes walking so much more pleasurable. You feel more at one with the ground, and you feel a lot more confident when you're walking on not the best terrains because you feel a lot more in control. When I did the switch, it was off the back of doing triffing and me having to come down from 3/4 of the way up because the boots they had on, I couldn't feel anything under my feet and I didn't feel comfortable going up. My original plan was I was going to get some new climbing shoes like I used to when I used to climb, and I was going to switch them out halfway up. This is when I discovered the Barefoot shoes, and I was to go and do triffing again now. I've got no doubt that I'd make it to the top because these boots just make all the difference. Switching to a camping quilt from a bag. I'm a side sleeper and quite a rough sleeper. I also don't like feeling enclosed. So discovering quilts was one of the biggest things that has ever happened to me with camping. I've always been one of these that will unzip the sleeping bag, you get stuck with. The hood of it in your face drives me absolutely insane. So discovering dedicated sleeping quilts, absolute game changer. I would implore anybody to try one. They are a lot more expensive, but you also take into account that they're a lot lighter for just the same amount of warmth. I know there is a lot online that says about drafts. I've been under a quilt now for 18 months and I've never experienced this, even in windy conditions. What you find with the quilt is you're losing a lot of material from underneath you, but it's scientifically proven that if you lie on top of your down or your synthetic, that it's not actually providing any insulation. So it is just wasted weight and wasted material. Also confines you more, which is something that for me, I just don't enjoy. I like to be able to move my legs separately, the same with my arms. The second I feel confined, I don't sleep very well. So for me, quilts, an absolute game changer. I have a few different quilts now. So I have my original one, which is from CampingGear on Etsy, and it's a hot foot, and it's a limited edition one. I can't remember the exact one, but I'll write that in here so you know. Absolutely phenomenal quilt, and it packs down to virtually nothing. And I've used this quilt in winter as well as summer. It is a bit on the cold side in winter, but it is only rated down to 0 degrees. I've had it in -5. I slept okay in it, but I did have my down jacket on and I was starting to feel the cold through it. But that is graded 5 degrees less than what the comfort rating on it is anyway. So not too bad. Since then, I bought a Sierra Designs Nitro 20. Also a very good quilt, but I actually prefer the hang tight one, which was a fraction of the cost. Switching from synthetic to down. I never got on the down train. It took me a long time to switch over. I saw it as hype. I didn't like the fact that when it gets wet, you lose your insulation. But a couple of years ago, I took the punt and I bought my first down jacket. It's the orange one that you see in some of my videos, which has got rips and tears in it. I patched it up with bits of duct tape, bits of Gorilla tape, and it's been through the wash with them on and it's still going strong. That coat came from Decathlon. I think I paid about 60 or 70 pounds for it, and it's been absolutely phenomenal. I like the fact that it packs down to nothing and it keeps me warm. The only real criticism I've got, as with the one that I'm wearing now from Mountain Warehouse, is that if it does get wet, you do lose that insulation. But as long as you've got some decent waterproof over the top of it, you'll be totally fine. But that was a big one for me, switching over to down. Yes, it was a lot more costly, and yes, it meant replacing a lot of my gear, but same with sleeping bags. That less weight, that more packability, and just simply being able to be warm when you want it to be is just phenomenal. Getting decent tent pegs. So I've had a variety of tent pegs over the years, from shepherd hook ones, to V-shaped ones, to twisty ones, to X-shaped ones. I've got ones that are specifically for my decking, and the best pegs that I've ever found are the Eastern style ones. Them pegs work, other than my decking, which I have to use the decking specific pegs for. Them pegs will work every environment. They're good in the wet, they're good in the dry, they're good on everything. I haven't tried them on a beach, but I should imagine they wouldn't be very good on that. I would use beach specific pegs for that. For everything else, they are phenomenal. I wouldn't recommend keeping your shepherd hooks ones. They tend to come out a lot. They're not very good quality. They bend very easily. And I have the same opinion of the V-shaped ones. I know they're very popular because they're lightweight, but for me, no matter how lightweight my setup is, I'll always have the decent pegs with me. I recently took a tent on a video that I filmed, took it out, I was going to put that bit of footage in there, and I used a supplied pegs with it, which were a V-shape, and due to a moderate wind, the tent wouldn't stay in the ground. The pegs were just getting ripped out by the wind. Had I took my Eastern style ones, I've got no doubt they'd have stayed in. For me, another bit to add with the pegs is always ensuring you take a few extras with you. I always make sure I've got at least 4 extra pegs with me when I go camping. This is personal preference and not something that's a must do. But for me, that ability to be able to put my pegs in the ground on an X angle so it can't pull out as easily makes all the difference. So it's something that I always make sure that I do. Also for that, it gives me the option, if need be, to put extra guy ropes out, because I always carry a bit of guy line with me as well. But it means that if need be, like I said, I can peg them out and just make my tent a bit stronger. You just can't put a price on peace of mind and decent quality pegs. And when you can buy some replica style Eastern pegs, so some other stake ones from companies like AlpKit or Go Outdoors or even Amazon, Temu, AliExpress, all these kinds of shops, and you can pick them up for as little as £5 to £10. For me, it's an absolute no-brainer. Buying a decent sleeping pad. For me, this should be the number one thing you do in your camp. You could sleep in a £70 or £80 tent from somewhere like Go Outdoors or even something like a nature hike and have a perfectly good night's sleep. But if you're then sleeping on a 10 quid mat, your night's going to be horrible. Ultimately, the same would happen if you're using something like a Durston, a tarp tent, or even a Hilleberg. If you've got a poor sleeping mat, you can have a poor night's sleep. For me, if I had the money to spend, I'd buy the cheaper tent and the better air mat. And make sure you've got a decent R value. That's the one thing that really changed things for me. So I've had sleeps during the winter where I've just put a foil mat down, used my summer pad because it weighs less, with an R value of 1.3 and still been quite cold. Even this season on my winter camps, 3.6 I think it is, the R value from a Nemo Tensor. I still wanted to keep the pad as compact as possible and I've still felt the cold through it. So since then, I've bit the bullet and I've invested in a higher R value sleeping mat, and I have since had camps in that and had an absolutely fantastic night's sleep. It's a little bit more bulky, but it's worth it to make sure that I have a good night's sleep in the winter. I still will be using things like the Tensor during the summer months when I don't need that same temperature rating for underneath. But if I could only have one pad, I'd make sure I got something with a high R value, as this would do me all year round. Garmin watch or similar, just any watch that's got navigation on it. What I found was that I'd got to the point when I stopped using paper maps and I started using my phone to guide me, that what I was doing was I was coming out, I was staring at my phone on the whole walk and not really enjoying anything. I'd miss all of the views, I'd miss all the fun bits of the trails because I was too busy trying to look at my map. Since buying the Garmin watch, this now navigates for me. I can send my maps directly to it, and when the maps are on my watch will literally buzz on my wrist to tell me when I've got to turn, so I know where I've got to go. So for me, it's been an absolute game changer. It's good for being able to track everything that I've done while I've been out, so I can track my walks and record my walks, as well as knowing all my vitals like my heart rate. It's just been one of them things that I bought, that I wanted for a long time, and it's just absolutely changed the way that I hike. Now I can go out, I'm free to enjoy everything that I see, I'm free to see the world. And ultimately, if I was still using my phone, I probably never would have started filming, because I was that engrossed in what my phone was saying and where I had to go and where the map was, that I wouldn't have had time to be able to speak to you guys, speak to myself on camera, and just generally enjoy my time while I'm out. So ultimately, the next point would be to go along with the Garmin watch, you need a map app. I know Garmin has one that's native to it, but I'm not the most intelligent person in the world and I couldn't find it. I've always used apps like AllTrails, which is absolutely phenomenal. And if you're not sure of any route to take, you have ones that are pre-planned on there. It's great for giving you inspiration, and I've actually found places before that I didn't know existed based off walks and runs that other people have done, and I've gone and explored them myself. It's been really good for me with work, as everybody knows. I do a lot of on-call, I need to have a phone signal, so it's been great for finding little walks that I'm able to do where there's an half decent phone signal. The current app that I'm using is Commute, and that's solely because I can't get AllTrails to connect to my Garmin. It states that it's natively on there, but when I try connecting it, my Garmin won't accept the AllTrails app. So I switched over to Commute, which is also very good, but for me, I still think AllTrails is king. It's got the most variety of maps, the better planning on it, and it's just a really good app. But ultimately, any app for planning your routes will do. It's a lot easier, but I'd always advise making sure you've got a backup paper map with you if you don't know the area, because if your technology dies and your goes flat, you don't want to be stuck somewhere, not knowing where you are and not knowing where to get back. But it is something that has really changed the way that I hike, because it's a lot easier than having a big map on the front of me. Switching back to 2-man tents from 1-man tents. For me, it's, like I said, it's another one that's a game changer. Getting out there and knowing that I've got a bit more room, that I can move about, that I can keep my gear in there with me, and then I'm comfortable, is worth the 200 grams. Some tents, it's as little as 100 grams. I know on my tarp tent, I think it's about 80 grams difference between the 1-man and the 2-man tent. So once again, for me, that's a no-brainer. For the amount of extra room you get compared to the small amount of extra weight you have to carry, it's just not worth carrying a smaller tent for me. I know some people will disagree, and it's each to their own with this. I couldn't go back to a 1-manner these days. After my solo wild camp that I did up in the Roaches, in the Robin Starlight 1, which is a tent I absolutely adore, I massively noticed the lack of room in that after sleeping in the tarp tent all season. So for me, switching back to 2-man tents is the way forward, and that's probably the way that I'm going to keep it. And the last one for me is starting to film my hikes and my camps, and just my day-to-day adventures. Things like today, for example, I've got no car because my car's broke. You may have seen that previous video. I can't get out anywhere proper, and ordinarily, I'd have not bothered. I wouldn't have got out. But instead, I'm out, I'm walking. Oh, I don't know where I am. I've just been walking and I've got lost. Goes back to having the Garmin watch and the apps. I can wander around and get lost, and I'll just set my app to home and let it guide me. But I've come out and explored, and I've found numerous local places I could probably camp. Well out of the way of people. And it's somewhere I wouldn't have come, something I wouldn't have done if I wasn't filming, because I feel an obligation to try and get a video out, and this almost inner burning fire to film something. That's as much for me as it is for you guys. You know, I want to get stuff out for people to watch. I know there's some people that religiously watch the videos and some watch them casually, but I watch them and I use this for motivation when I don't want to get out. And I haven't been out for a couple of weeks because of my accident, and I couldn't get out, and a few other circumstances, so I've not been able to do it. But if I wasn't filming, then I wouldn't be out as much, and I wouldn't be doing as much. And I've found so many cool places and had so many cool experiences over the space of the last 6 months that have been brought on by filming. And not all of them have made it to a video. Not everything that I film gets out. Sometimes I film things and get home and think that is absolutely crap or not very good. So I don't put it out. But I've still been out and I've still enjoyed that adventure. and filming my adventures and getting out and having that purpose has made me do it. Also, it's helped my confidence. I've always been quite good at public speaking. It's part of my job. And part of my job is training people. I've never done things like this. Filming videos and walking around talking to a camera and essentially talking to myself while there's other people about is very much out of my comfort zone. It's not something I ever thought I'd do. If you go back to my earliest videos, I actually put a video out there talking about this and saying how I won't be able to share my videos on social media. It's as embarrassing going past random people that you don't know that don't care that I'm filming as it is people that I know see my videos. And this week I found out my eldest daughter, who lives away from me, she's subscribed to my channel. And I don't even know how she knows I've got the channel, but she's found it and she's subscribed and she watches my videos, as does her partner. And most recently, as of this weekend, my dad's now found out I've got a channel and he's now subscribed and watching. It sort of opens your eyes and opens your confidence that nobody's judging you. For somebody who spends a lot of his life second guessing what people think of me and people's opinions of me, not that I'm bothered, because it doesn't bother me, but I do second guess these things. And I want to be a good person. I don't want to offend people, but I know that I do. And it's part of my personality and I try not to, but I know that I'm very Marmite. You either love me or you hate me. And the fact that there's so many people out there that have subscribed to the channel, that want to watch the videos, the fact that I can now walk past people while filming, and I do still have moments where I put the camera down, I'll admit that, but for the most part, I'll carry on. The fact that I know my family watch it and it's not stopped me, it's spurring me on. It says a lot and it shows how much it's helped me grow. And for me, filming's been a big part of that. And it's had so many benefits to me. And I just think if it's something you're considering, get out and do it. If you do film anything, comment below. Let me know what you've filmed. Share your channel. Share your first videos. I know there's people on this channel, and Baz's Outdoors Adventures is one of them. He watched my videos and he took the punt and he jumped on the channel and he started filming. And it's something he was contemplating, but he sent me a message and asked me if I'd look at his video. Now I'm subscribed to him and I watch most of Baz's videos when I get a chance to. And I know Baz watches a lot of mine and we've built that little bit of a community. And I know for him, he's spoken in his videos about how much things like this have changed his life. And it's one of them outlooks that you don't realise the impact it has on your life until you do it. So if you're thinking about doing it, get out and do it. Life's too short not to. It took me over 2 years to eventually set up the channel. And it's me and Dylan that set it up. And originally we set it up 2 years ago and didn't film anything for literally until August last year when I picked up the camera and thought I'm going to film. You don't see Dylan that much on the videos. He does come on some, but he's a part of most of them. He helps me come up with the ideas. He gives me ideas and tells me what he wants me to film. And he's part of what spurs me on because I'm not always going to be here. And I'm such a big part of Dylan's life. And with him being autistic, there's a lot that Dylan does in his life based off what I do because I make things safe. That if I've got these videos out there, he's always got that. And the same with Casey and Daisy, my other two children. You know, and my grandkids, when I've eventually got some of them. It means they've got something to look back on, something to see. We live in a world where it's possible to do this. So if you're thinking of doing it, get it done. You don't have to share anything out. You don't have to look for subscribers. You don't even have to publish your videos. You can keep them as private. But try it and see how it changes your life. And if it does it for the better and it makes a difference, let me know. And let others know. And like I said, feel free to share your channel. I think we should have a big community and everybody should work together and we should all support each other. And if you set something up and I enjoy your content, I'll let people know. And if I think stuff's good, I'll send them your way to watch some of your videos as well. So, if you're thinking of doing it, get it done. Share it in the comments below. And if you're new to the channel and you've not watched any of my stuff before, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out. If you are already subscribed or if you're just watching it, drop me a comment below, give me a like, all that sort of stuff. It does really help. It helps with the algorithm. It helps push the content out. And it's something that smaller channels really, really need. Now, that's enough of me shameless plugging myself because I really don't like doing that bit. But unfortunately it's something that you have to do, and it's part of being on YouTube. But that being said, that's the list, that's all 10. Like the last video, I forgot to film an outro again, so thank you for joining me again today. Hope this has been insightful, and please feel free to subscribe, drop a comment, give me a like, it all helps. That being said, thank you again, so I'll catch you in the next one.